It is one of the biggest questions and problems that model railroaders run into when they are starting in the hobby, and that is space. I've got a viewer that asked me a question that they can't decide on their model railroad because of space. I'm going to answer that plus a lot more questions on this month's Q&A. Hey everybody, my name's Jimmy. Welcome to Coffee and Trains. Today I'm drinking some Donut Shop coffee. It's been quite a few takes, so my coffee's almost out. If you want to tell me what kind of coffee you are drinking and have it featured just like these guys right here, you can put that in the comments below. Also, this is the monthly Q&A, and I like to answer questions from the comments of last month's Q&A. So if you want your questions answered next month, you can put that in the comments below, and who knows, you might see your question answered on next month's Q&A. Also, if you're just looking for the one question that I talked about in the thumbnail and everything, here's the time code for that. But if you want to check them all out, let's go ahead and get started. Cheers, guys. Kyle Bentley 1208 asks if I use Kato couplers or one of the third-party couplers. Well, right now I kind of have a mix, but I always prefer the microtrain style couplers. Kato is fantastic, but I think one of their weak points is their coupler, and you can get them coupled together, but it's usually a little bit harder. They couple together with each other fine, but if they're trying to couple with a different one, it's not that great. So I'll probably eventually be switching everything over to microtrains compatible couplers, but that's going to take a while, so it's probably going to be one of those ongoing projects that I'm just doing, and eventually I'll get to the point that when I buy a new piece of rolling stock, if it doesn't have microtrains couplers, I'll just put them on. Jürgen Emlinger 4410 says that someone should do a video on railroad problems and how to fix them so that people there build their dream railroad and don't walk away from it. Well, I'm going to actually be doing a video kind of like that here relatively soon about talking about when inevitably motivation dies or when you have frustration. So be on the lookout for that. I'm currently writing that one and it'll be out in May. Abraham Mulhern asks, what is a good DCC system that doesn't involve computers for someone that has no experience with DCC? So your standard bearers are going to be in the US are going to be Digitrax and NCE. There's also MRC, which is a good system as well. But these can be a little bit intimidating. Digitrax has the Zephyr system, which is a good starter system, and NCE has a starter system as well. MRC has what's called the Tech 6, which is called kind of a DC-DCC hybrid. The simplest and easiest to use DCC system, if you don't have a lot of locomotives, because you can't program a ton in this, would be the Bachmann Easy Command system. That is the simplest DCC system to use out there that doesn't involve computers. Molly the dog asks, are there still no frog juicers for DC layout? And they say they think it's due to the low voltage on DC layouts and the voltage drops. Well, you also have to remember with DC layouts that the voltage changes and you're basically varying the voltage to control the train, versus in DCC you have a constant voltage and you're basically sending pulses in a digital format to be able to control the train. So no, there are not, as far as I know. If someone knows of one, you can definitely put it in the comments below, but as far as I know, there are no DC frog juicers, and I don't think there's ever been one. MJ Rin FL asks about someone using one loco on a layout that would just be running around a room and is just for a passenger train, no switching. Would you say that DC or DCC would be better? I think it really depends. Ultimately, if you're looking at a costing and you don't have any sounds or anything, yeah, run DC, absolutely. You do not need DCC for that. The only thing I can say is you may want to invest in either a partial sound control system or DCC if you want to have sounds and features, but if you're just running a train, yeah, DC is going to do you just fine. Shukaku the Crazy asks for suggestions using foam for making mountains with tunnels. They also ask about something that can fill empty space on a model railroad effectively to change its shape. So I think what we're asking here for, first of all, I think the go-to foam for anything like what you're talking about would be extruded foam, the pink extruded foam. I think sometimes it comes in like a bluish green color too. There's also the white sheet foam that you can use as well. I prefer the pink extruded foam. It's just more solid. It's going to give you a better base of it. And also, if you're talking about changing its shape, there's a couple different things that you can use. If you're talking about making some uneven terrain, you can use things like Sculptamold, plaster. You can do cardboard strips and put plaster of Paris over it. You can also do chicken wire with the same process. There's a lot of different things, but if you're looking for just a little bit of unevenness on the ground, I think that Sculptamold or anything of like that similar category is going to be your best bet. There's a lot of different products and a lot of different things that you can do for that, but something that's just something you can put on the ground, I would use Sculptamold, but there's a lot of different products for that. Michael's Train says that their question about the SD9043 Mac was a joke. I know it was a joke. But do you know anywhere to get Kato Unitrack for cheap because they want to start laying track on their layout? Well, here's the thing. Yes, Kato Unitrack is more expensive, but you have to kind of think of it in this way. If you are looking for something that don't want to worry about putting on like the roadbed and doing everything separate and not getting it right and everything, then Kato Unitrack saves that for you. Yes, it's more expensive, but it's kind of a guarantee that you're going to have a good track. So, but back to your question, the best thing I can say is just put a eBay reminder alert that can let you know every morning. It can send you an email saying, I found these deals for Kato Unitrack. And a lot of times you can see like big lots of Kato Unitrack on eBay that people are selling in bulk. That's probably the best way to look for it, but I know that Kato Unitrack is not the cheapest thing in the world, but it is also very, very good, and I really like Kato Unitrack. So yeah, those are the best tips for it. Salvatore Natali asks, what is the current radius on my main line for N-scale? Now, the smallest radius that I have is 282 millimeters because it's Kato Unitrack, so just over 11 inches, and that's on the inside loop right here where the double track is on my main line. And they say they know that they want to know what like kind of the equivalency of the HO to N scale. So 22 inches, that radius in HO scale is about what the 11 inches is in N scale. It's a little bit bigger. It's somewhere right around there. Really, if you're looking at that 18-inch size, which is a pretty standard one to get in a starter set, that's about like the 9 3/4 range for in scale. And then when you get a little bit bigger, you're talking about like a 12.5, and then there's like 13.75 and stuff right around there. So, but those are typically what they are. When you get below 9 3/4 inches is typically when you start to run into issues with bigger locomotives not being able to run. Typically 6-axle locomotives can't consistently go below 9 3/4 inches, and a lot of steam engines can't go below 11 inches, though a lot of Broadway limited ones, I haven't seen a Broadway limited one that can go down to 9 3/4 inches for their steamers, including the big boy, which I've tested out. Model Railway Back Shop asks, that's one of the businesses that I do shout outs for as a matter of fact. They asked me if I ever thought of trying brass steam locomotives in N-scale. You know what? I have. My neighbor a couple houses ago had a HO scale brass steam locomotive, and I can't remember what it was. It was either a Class A or like a Y6B. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a pretty engine, and it just made me want to try a brass locomotive. So it's something that I might try for in the future. It's not in my collection line right now, but I think it's going to be somewhere further down the line. Krusgali, I think I got that right, ask, how do I get my wife to allow me to build a model railroad? And they said that we have they have a huge house and no kids, and they're running out of time. Well, I find I have a space. I try to keep it into this space, and she knows that I enjoy it, and she's okay with that. I make sure that I still, I don't obsess over doing the railroad. I'm not in there all the time. And I also, a lot of times I'm working on it either late at night or early in the morning. So typically during the middle of the day, I'm not doing anything with it unless I'm running it with my kids. So it's just a matter of don't go swinging for the fences. Just say like, hey, there's a small space there. I'd like to build a little model railroad. Colorado Train Nerd asks, will I ever make an O-scale switching layout? Well, my O-scale stuff right now is all 3-rail, so I don't have any 2-rail of any of the realistic stuff. So I have thought about it, but with O-scale and Lionel, I really like just running the trains. I think it's just a bunch of fun to just run them, and I've actually been thinking about this randomly of, looking at some of Lionel's Legacy or Vision Line or some MTH, just to have one or two really nice O-scale locomotives. I don't want a ton of them. I want to focus on N-scale, but I just think it would be a fun thing to have. But I think my O-scale stuff, I'm not going to say I'll never do a switching layout, but I definitely think my O-scale stuff will be more of the run and watch trains type of deal. Manshed Railroad asked about adding a booster to DCCEX, and it's because they're planning on running about 300 feet of HO scale track, and he wants to ensure that he can power it. Well, I've always said that probably try the Tam Valley Depot booster. That's probably the best option, but I think that the DCCEX guys are working on a booster mode, so definitely be on the lookout for that. If that comes out, that's going to be a pretty big deal. Peter Minigan asked if my Arduino signal system would work on Nano or Pro Mini versions of the Arduino instead of the Uno. Yes, it will. The Nano is actually what I used on my last layout for it, and the Pro Mini, I think I just checked and I counted the digital pins, and I'm pretty sure it has enough digital pins to do the whole thing, and analog pins as well. So yes, it will do both of those on there. Rap Creeper Productions 32 says, I wonder if N-scale couplers like microtrains would make a decent scale coupler for HO scale. Well, I haven't tried it. I think they're probably going to be too small, obviously, for anything mainline and standard gauge, but I definitely think it could be in the small narrow gauge range. That's definitely something that could be looked at. So, but for mainline, I don't think so, but for narrow gauge, yeah. New York and Atlantic ask what kind of building can be found at the end of a siding. They said they tried to Google it to no avail. Well, I'm going to take siding and say that it's either a siding or a spur. Those are actually two separate things, but most of the time we all just call them sidings. So a siding is typically, let's go with the official definition, is where a train can stop to either to get past or a train can go past something. So a lot of times you're going to see like a signal control box if there's a signal or something like that there, or you may see some other control box there. If you're talking about a siding that's like a spur to an industry, you're going to see industrial facilities at the end. You may see a warehouse, a factory, some other thing. You may have a transload facility where trucks can drive up and load things there. So those are the type of things that you'll see on various different sidings. Don Lawrence says that they are building / expanding a Woodland Scenic Ridge layout, and asks if I'm familiar with Woodland Scenic's trackbed product and how it compares to Cork road bed. They say they're building and expanding with plywood, and can you use a track bed on a plywood surface? Well, yes, you can use it. I think it's just a matter of gluing it on there. I personally like cork, but I also haven't used that material in a long time, so I'd have to try it out. And they say they're also expanding with DCCEX, so really cool there. But yeah, I think I'll be okay with it. I'm not heard anything overtly negative for it. I prefer cork, but I didn't really have a terrible experience with it. But yeah, you should be fine. All you gotta do is glue it in place. Richard West 9054 asks for freight cars and passenger cars, plastic wheels or metal wheels. So I'm going to be, of all my ongoing projects and things like that, I'm going to be converting all of my rolling stock that isn't already to metal wheels. And there's two main reasons for this. One, I just like the way that metal wheels roll. They roll a lot better and they just perform a lot better versus plastic wheels. The second reason is that I'm actually going to be attaching resistors to them so that they can be detected on any sort of current sensing that I have. And that's just obviously way easier to do with metal wheels because you can make that connected circuit. But yeah, I am always going to be a fan of metal wheels. Naheem Ahmed 6494 says that they need help. They really want to start a model railroad, but they're not sure what era to model. They want to do Britain in the 1940s and America from the 1920s to 1950s. The reason they can't decide is because they don't have a lot of space to work with, about 2 foot by 3 foot. And for them, small British locomotives and stock look better, but they really want to run the duplex monsters and the big American diesels and steamers. The reason that they can't decide is because they have a small space to work in. So let's talk about some of the pros and cons here, because this is actually a question that a lot of people run into, and I want to dive into this a little bit. So the first thing is, let's talk about your space, 2 foot by 3 foot. Now, what I see here in terms of a permanent layout, your options are going to be, even in scale, you're going to be looking at probably a switching layout or running a small branch line. And what is really what you want to do there? So it's clear to me that you want to run more mainline stuff and you don't have a ton of space. So a couple things that I would look at is, definitely you're going to want to do in scale for that. But what I would also look at is potentially a modular layout where you can use that 2 foot by 3 foot space to store your modules and then bring them out when you want to run them and connect them, and then put them back in that 2 foot by 3 foot space. So putting it out on a kitchen table or something like that, that might be the best way, like with a T-Track, which is what I'm doing right now with my layout. So you have a lot of options here, and this is a question that a lot of people have. And basically what I tell people when they don't have a ton of space is, focus in on something that you really, really like. If you have a small space, you're not going to have a ton of options. But if you focus on what you really like, and you got to think about it hard, whether it's industry, scenery, or something like that, you'll be able to figure out exactly what you want. You may not be able to run every big steamer or something like that, but you may be able to get some happy middle ground that's going to be able to get that. And who knows, you may figure out more space down the road. That's why I love modular setups as well. So I hope that helps you out there. Before we end, let's check out some of these cool model railroad businesses. Check them out.
Trains in the Valley. Trains in the Valley is a model train shop located in Pennsylvania. They sell new and used model trains with a mission to make trains accessible to everyone. You can check them out at trainsinthevalley.com, link in the description. Model Railway Backshop is a great place if you're looking for a quality paint job for your old or new brass model locomotive. And if you're also looking to get it weathered, you can get that done there too, plus DCC and sound upgrades. And right now you can get 10% off any brass model painting and weathering job by using the promo code NMRA10. Check them out at modelrailwaybackshop.com. Penguin 3D Workshop offers 3D prints and electronics for model railroading, specializing in hard or impossible to find train parts, and they also offer custom designing and printing. Use promo code DDRR5OFF to get 5% off your order. Check them out at penguin3dworkshop.com.
If you have a question that you would like answered in the next month's Q&A on Coffee and Trains, you can put that in the comments below. I do try to answer every question, but typically in order to get this recorded in time, I stop after about a week and I start to collect all the questions from there. So definitely get those in as fast as possible so I can get those questions answered. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Stay safe, be kind, drink some coffee, and happy railroading.